Hi, and welcome back to Lizard Studios. Today you are going to be painting your coil pot. Yes, the coil pot that we made last week out of clay. And we are going to be using tints and shades to do that. So we're going to be creating tints and shades. But first we're going to talk a little bit about the whole process of clay. But the first thing that we need to do is get our materials out on the table. So let's do that. Okay, so today this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a cup with water and paintbrushes. Maybe a very thick one, okay, to be painting around here. Maybe a medium-sized one and a small one. Okay, so that's what you need. You're going to need 3 colors, okay? You're going to need a basic color. Any color will do. Blue, green, red, orange, purple, whatever color it is that you want to use, plus white and black, okay? Because we're going to be making tints and shades, all right? You're going to need a newspaper because we are going to be painting on this pottery, and if you paint on it, you're going to get your table dirty and your hands too. But just to make sure we don't make a big mess, a newspaper. And then you're going to need a little tray. It's better to use a type of tray that has holes in it, like an egg carton maybe, or this one that there were some bonbons in here, some cookie bonbons, and I took it from there. I didn't throw it away, I'm going to reuse it, okay? So that's what we're going to do. Now, the first thing that I want to do is talk to you about the ceramic process, or the pottery process. Okay, last week we made a pot, okay, see that you could put things in it. You could put your pencils, or you could put your brushes in it. You could put anything in it. So we made a pot out of coils, okay? We took clay, we coiled it up, and we rolled them up into a pot, okay? And we left it like this. Now, what happened to this in a week was that the clay is made of mud, okay? They're like little particles of the earth. They dry up and they become hard, okay? Because the water comes out. This is called a green ware before you put it in a kiln. A kiln is the oven which has really high temperatures, like a volcano. And when you take it out of the kiln and it's been already fired in high temperature, it becomes like this. When you hit it, it becomes like when you hit your cup, that it sounds like a crystal, okay? It sounds more like something that you could break, right? So what you do with this piece of pottery that you take out of the kiln is that you paint on it, okay, if you're not going to use water in it, or you have to get a glaze and glaze it. A glaze is a special type of paint. It's a paint that has like a glassy feel to it, okay, like if it was glass. That glaze is what we put on cups. You see how it's shiny, okay, how it shines, and that glaze, that paint sticks to the clay that doesn't have glaze, and it becomes like a glass. That's why, see, it sounds like a glass, like chimes, like wind chimes, okay? So it sounds like that. Now, I could put some coffee in here and drink my coffee, all right? So that's how we get pottery or dishes that we could eat from and the water doesn't go through it. But what we're going to do today is paint on our greenware, because some schools or some houses, some parents don't have a kiln to fire their pottery. So we're just gonna paint it, we're gonna make it look really nice, so we could give it to somebody, or we could enjoy it at home, and we could put things in it too, paper clips or pencils or paintbrushes or maybe even jewelry, okay? So let's start today with learning how to make tints and shades, okay? Okay, so what is a tint? Well, a tint is when you take a color, okay? Like for example, I'm gonna use red here. And you mix it, see I have basic red here in the middle, okay? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix my red with a little bit of white. Then I'm gonna mix it with more white, and then I'm gonna mix it with more white. Okay, so I'm gonna put here a lot of red, a little bit less red, just a tiny bit more red, and here very little red. Okay, what do I do with that to make a tint? Well, look at me. So in the first one, I'm gonna put a little bit of white. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna help it here with my paintbrush. Okay. Then in the next one, I'm gonna put a bit more white. And then in the last one, I'm gonna put more white, lots of white. Okay. Now I am using acrylic paints because acrylic paints have a shiny feel to it. And I just want my pottery to be shiny because I am not gonna put it back in the oven with a glaze, because with a glaze you would have to put it back in the oven, fire it again, and then the glaze gets stuck to the pottery. But I'm not gonna do that. So therefore I need to use a acrylic paint, or if you don't use acrylic paint, then you could put a glaze on it later on, something that makes it shiny. So I leave my basic red here, and I am going to mix this white and this red and see what happens. And I'm going to add water to all my mixtures. I am going to add water because that will help it mix better. Okay? And let's start mixing again. So here you see that I have already a variation of red. It becomes like a fuchsia color, okay, which is a tint of pink. Okay, these are tints that we're making because we're mixing with white. Let's see what this one looks like. I'm gonna go fast. Okay, so now I see that this color right here is more or less the same as here, and I don't want that because I want the tints to be very different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more red to this one right here, okay? And I am going to mix that again to just see more difference, okay, in my tints. That's what I want to achieve. Okay, so now that I see that this one is a little bit darker, I'm gonna add a little bit of white to this one because I'm still not happy. So in your classroom, try to find that difference. Try to find the different tints, okay, that actually look different, okay? Okay, so there. So I think this one, we might have it here, okay? I have red, a dark tint, a lighter tint, and a lighter tint, okay? So I think we kind of have it, right, boys and girls? So we begin painting. I'm gonna begin painting today from the top down, and then we are going to make shades, okay? So let's see. I'm gonna clean my brush first, because I want to start with the very light one. So I'm going to go coil by coil, okay, and I'm going to take this brush, the medium-sized brush, and see if I could go faster with this one or with this one. I don't know. You see how your coils are and you figure it out, okay, what brush you want to use. So I'm going to take the very light pink, the tint of pink, okay, and I'm going to start painting. Watch. With 1.5 coils, more or less, I'm going to change color. So I'm gonna go to the next one, and what you could do is just use your paintbrush. It's okay. For the next one, you don't have to wash it because you're just gonna go darker. And now you're gonna begin with a darker color. Okay, and now we are going to make, see what I did? I did not paint the bottom of the actual pottery. No, I left it white because I'm going to put a shade down there, okay? So now I'm going to make a shade, okay? How do we make a shade? Well, you take red, okay? And we're going to put red in all of them. One. And let's make 2 shades, okay? Because we're not going to have space to make more. And that will be fine. And what you do is you put a little bit, very little. Why very little? Because if you put a lot of black, ooh, it will just go black. So here's what I do. I take a tip of black, just a tip, and I mix it with my red. And look how black that gets, how dark. Do you see that? It gets like a brownish color. Look at that. See? So you need to use very little and some water. Okay? I'm gonna use some water for here too. Okay? So let's mix. Pretty much that's what we're gonna make. So this is a shade when you add black to a color. And now you're gonna take this and you're gonna add just 2 littles more. 1 and that's more than a little, but we're gonna mix again. And as you see, the color becomes almost black. Okay, so that's how we mix that. So right now, I'm gonna put this brush in here. I'm gonna take this one with water, the one that we were using before, and this becomes like a burgundy color, okay? And this is, no, it's not dry yet, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, this is a trick. You take many books and you put newspaper on them, or you take a cup like this one, and what you do is, you take your ceramic piece and you put it on the top like that, and you just hold it down here, okay? Make sure it doesn't fall because it breaks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the line and just give it a tint, and you're going to see how dark that becomes, okay? So you're going to see it in the front, because right now I'm not holding it with my hand because it's still wet, and I don't want to get my hand wet, I mean full of paint. But I'm putting my tint on my coil pot. And I am going to do, again, 1.5. Make sure you don't put your brush in the paint that you don't have to, okay? And we put lots of paint because the ceramic piece is soaking up the paint. Okay, and I'm finished there. Now I'm going to put this color at the bottom. So now the inside of our pot is painted. We have to finish the outside. One thing that you cannot ever do is paint the bottom of your pot, of your coil pot. Because if you paint it and you put it on newspaper, the newspaper will stay stuck to the paint. So you cannot do that. That is the reason why all of these, well, this is a special one because they do it later, but if you see, this is like inside. If you look at it, it's hollow like this. So they could actually put the glaze here. But this part right here of the cup does not have any glaze, because if they put it in the kiln and they fire it, the glaze will get the pot, the cup stuck to the shelf of the firing kiln, and then you wouldn't be able to get it out. Okay, it stays stuck to it. So that's what glaze does. So you cannot ever put glaze or paint on it because it will stay stuck to the bottom, okay? That is the reason. Now this one here is not glazed either at the bottom. I'm gonna take my darkest shade. My darkest shade, because shades have black in it, and I'm gonna paint the bottom. I could get the paint on the paper, but not on the bottom of the actual coil pot. And now my darkest, ooh, I love doing this. My darkest shade is at the bottom. Okay, and I am finished. Now all you have to do is really wash your brushes so they don't go bad, okay, and let your coil pot dry. All right guys, it should have your name at the bottom. So you take this with lots of care, with one finger at the top. It should be dry already. One finger at the top, your hand at the bottom like this. Okay, we hold it. See what I told you? That it's not fired. Okay, so there we go. So you take it like this with your hand at the top, your hand at the bottom. You put it somewhere so it could dry. And when it's dry, you will be able to take it off the paper and it will not stay stuck to the paper. Okay? So remember, I used acrylic paints. You could use acrylic paints too to do this. And like that, you don't have to glaze it because acrylic paints give it like a glossy feel. But if you don't use acrylic paints and if you use tempera paints, the trick is to make a mixture of half glue, half water. Okay? You make that mixture. You take your paintbrush when your tempera paint is dry and you paint everything with glue. That will make like a barrier, okay, all around your pot, and it will make it shiny and pretty. Okay? So that's another trick of art. Alright guys, so let's go over everything that we have done to make this beautiful coil pot with tints and with shades at the bottom. So the first thing that we did was we took clay and we molded the clay, okay, and we made a pancake to make the bottom of our pot. Then we rolled the clay into coils, okay, and we rolled it up. But before we rolled everything up, we had to score and we had to make slip, so to make that glue that's called slip so it could stick together. When it was dry, okay, what we did was we took acrylic paints and we made tints with white, red plus whites, more white here than here, and we made shades, red plus black. And we have made our coil pot go from a tint to a shade, and it's a wonderful, wonderful piece of artwork, of pottery. So I hope you enjoyed this class. And I hope you have a good day and a good week, and I will see you next week with another art project. Bye bye.